Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat. Our top story coming from Jammu and Kashmir, where a top prisons official, Hemant Lohia, was found murdered on Monday. The 57-year-old Lohia, a 1992 batch IPS officer, was found dead with his throat slit in Udaiwala on the outskirts of Jammu. He was posted as the Director General of Prisons in August. Additional Director General of Police Jammu Zone, Mukesh Singh, said that the domestic help is on the run and that a manhunt has been launched for him. The body of the officer has been sent for post-mortem examination, and this incident also taking place on a day that Home Minister Amit Shah is in Jammu and Kashmir. Let's go across to Nazir now for more on this story. And Nazir, it's absolutely shocking that such a senior officer was killed in this manner. His domestic help is on the run, and now the police also giving out some information saying that the domestic help was suffering from depression.
Well, that could be one of the reasons. But the fact is, why would if somebody is in such a deep depression, why would he carry him with him every time and we keep him as the domestic help and also take him to his friend's home? Remember, Mr. Hemant Lohia was murdered at his friend's home. And there are lots of questions, but it's very, very shocking, such a wonderful human being killed. I knew him personally. He would always have a pleasant smile on his face. Mr. Lohia, a 1992 batch officer, IPS officer, was serving in Jammu and Kashmir for a long, long time. In between, he was on central deputation. He came back early this year and was posted at Director General of Police Prison Department in August. And since then, he was heading this sensitive department in Jammu and Kashmir, which is actually having the large number of militants in prisons, including foreign nationals, Pakistani militants as well. So given his assignment, given his job, he going out to a place, living at a friend's place, which is 10 kilometers away from Jammu city, then being murdered in such a shocking way. And then police are saying that the forensic teams rushed there, investigation has started. The first, person who was suspected is the domestic help, whose name is said to be Yasir. He is, according to police, on the run. But there are many more questions. How can a senior officer who is that category protectee, where was his security detail? And why he was living 10 kilometers away, particularly at a time when Home Minister was in the town. Everybody was receiving Home Minister, busy with that, and entire security structure is in Jammu today to be part of the Home Minister's, this visit today. But this is really embarrassment and a shocking thing for Jammu and Kashmir police, such a senior officer being murdered this way. And there are local reports in Jammu, media in Jammu, that there were burn marks on the body of Mr. Lohia after his murder. So all these things are a matter of investigation. But the way it has happened, the shocking, and the brutal murder of Mr. Hemant Lohia at his friend's home, but earlier it was said his name is Sanjay Khujuria, but somebody told me, an officer, that his name is Raju Khujuria. He's originally from Rajouri. He's a business running an NGO. He was living with at Mr. Khujuria's home, and then where he was murdered. So there are little details so far provided by the police, though the murder has taken place last night. Postmortem has been conducted. Now there would be investigation has been started, and what our sources tell us, an SIT may be constituted to probe this heinous murder. But there are more questions than answers how all this happened at a time when security was on high alert. Where was the security of Mr. Lohia? Was he carrying entire security, detail with him? Why he was not living in his home? Reportedly, there was some renovation going on at his official residence in Jammu. That's why he had shifted to his friend's home. So all these things are coming, but this is very shocking. Then we talk about the domestic help, Yasir, who is reportedly to be in deep depression. So why he was also with him if he was in deep depression? How could one man kill a senior officer like this? and then there was attempt also to burn the body according to the local reports. So all these questions need answer. But clearly, while it has overshadowed Home Minister's visit to Jammu and Kashmir, when everybody was waiting for this visit, there have been lots of controversy and also hope and expectation from the visit, from an indication that it could be a beginning of election process in Jammu and Kashmir, to issue of reservation and all that. But this murder is certainly an embarrassment for the police at a time when all focus was on the Home Minister's visit, and such a shocking murder had taken place. And Hemant Loya, one of the finest officers of Jammu and Kashmir police, was killed in such a brutal way.
Right, Nazir, embarrassment for authorities and also very shocking, I'm sure, for, all the senior officers that such a murder should take place, and currently the lookout for the domestic help. Well, let's talk about the Home Minister's visit, and he arrived yesterday evening. He reached Jammu late on Monday, kicking off the 3-day trip to Jammu and Kashmir, where he's likely to make an announcement on the issue of scheduled tribe status for the Pahadi community, something that has already led to protests ahead of his visit. There was also an attack which took place on a non-local by terrorists just ahead of the visit. Let's take a look at this report.
Hours before the Union Home Minister rallies in Jammu and Kashmir, terrorists attacked a non-local bank manager in Prachand area of Baramulla district. Vivek Kumar survived the attack and escaped unhurt. This is the second terrorist attack in the last 24 hours. On Sunday, a policeman was killed and a CRPF Jawan was injured during a terrorist attack in Pulwama. The attack was caught on CCTV. The Bank Employees Association wants non-local employees to be relocated. Also, another worry, protests over reservation in the state. During his 3-day visit, Amit Shah is addressing rallies in Rajouri and Baramulla districts, where he is expected to announce scheduled tribe status for Pahadi-speaking people in Jammu and Kashmir. The Gujar and Bakarwal tribes, which enjoy ST status, oppose the move.
सरकार जो है अपर कास्ट लोगों को हमारे एसटी दर्जे जो है वो देना चाहती है। हम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से यही दरख्वास्त करते हैं कि आप हमारी एसटी के साथ ये जो छेड़छाड़ आप करने जा रहे हैं, ऐसा कोई इक़दाम आप ना उठाए, हमें मजबूर ना करें।
But not surprisingly, anticipating a favourable announcement, local Pahadi leaders are supporting the Home Minister's rallies.
तो हमारे ख्याल में फिर तुसी कुछ भी कितनी भी कोशिश करो एना वाले वक्त में जो कुछ भी ना हो कौम है तो सियासत की है कौम है तो बाकी चीज़ें भी है सारे एक होगा आसी जिले भी इतने बैठे दिन बड़े जिम्मेदार लोग हैं बिल्कुल 2 दिन तो सिर्फ को रहे
उम्मीद है शाह साहब अवाम के दीगर मसाइल का जायजा लेंगे और इसके अलावा वो पहाड़ी और गुर्जर कबाइल के मेयार जिंदगी को बेहतर बनाने पर भी तवज्जो देंगे। गुज़श्ता 35 बरसों के दौरान जम्मू कश्मीर के अवामी नुमाइंदे पहाड़ियों को शेड्यूल ट्राइब में शामिल करने की दरख्वास्त कर चुके हैं। मुझे इन दिनों पहाड़ी फोरम के रहनुमाओं ने मशवरा दिया है कि मैं पहाड़ी और गुर्जर बरादरी की सदियों पुरानी बरादरी को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए मोहतरम शाह साहब से गुजारिश करें। लिहाजा मैं तमाम भाइयों बहनों से मौदबाना गुजारिश करता हूँ कि वो जनाब अमित शाह साहब के जलसों में खुलूस और जज्बे से शामिल होकर उनसे अपने लिए इंसाफ की अपील करें। इंशाअल्लाह हमारी मुश्तरका कोशिश हमें मंजिल मकसूद तक ले जाएगी। खुदा हाफिज।
Granting ST status to Pahadis is being seen as a major political move by the BJP to win maximum seats in Jammu and Kashmir. At least 12 seats have a significant Pahadi presence. The region that was stripped of statehood and special status in 2019 is without an elected government for the last more than 4 years.
It will be a first instance of a linguistic group earning reservations in India if Home Minister Amit Shah announces ST status for Pahari-speaking people in Jammu and Kashmir. Home Minister's rallies in Rajouri and Baramulla are seen as a beginning of BJP's election campaign in Jammu and Kashmir. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi, NDTV.
Well, let's go back to Nazir for more on the visit of the Home Minister Amit Shah. Nazir, tell us about his program today.
Gargi, he's visiting Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine in Katra first, and where he will pray, and then he is going to Rajouri to address a rally, which is believed to be a mega rally, which would be attended by a large number of Pahari-speaking people. Because Pahari-speaking people in Jammu and Kashmir expect that Home Minister may announce scheduled tribe status for the Pahari-speaking people in Jammu and Kashmir, which has triggered a controversy and sort of, animosity between the communities, Gujars and, Paharis. Gujars have been protesting and Bakrwals have been protesting. They are saying they are the scheduled tribe community in Jammu and Kashmir and no one else should be included in, particularly the upper caste Paharis. They are saying linguistic groups cannot be given the reservations cannot be given on the linguistic lines, then that has never happened in the country, and how can it happen in Jammu and Kashmir? But the Paharis are saying it is a long pending demand of the community and it should be granted, and they are expecting that Home Minister will announce it today. BJP is backing this demand, so that is the expectation. And in fact, there has been the support from the regional party leaders, also party leaders. For example, we showed in our report, Kafilur Rahman, of National Conference leader from Karna, who is a two-time MLA. He is rooting for Amit Shah's rally in Baramulla, so is Muzaffar Hussain Beg. There are other leaders from the National Conference who have resigned from the party, like Mushtaq Bukhari, and other leaders from the Rajouri who have now mobilizing people for today's rally of Amit Shah, to, in a sense, that it has become a reservation issue, has become a rallying point for the Pahari-speaking people to support BJP. So for the BJP, they see it as a huge opportunity to maximize the number of seats in Jammu and Kashmir, and Home Minister Amit Shah's visit and the rallies, two public rallies, are seen as a beginning of BJP's election campaign in Jammu and Kashmir, since the special survey, revision of electoral rolls is underway, and that's going to be completed by 25th of next month, and elections can be announced anytime from that day. So it is seen as the beginning of election, campaign. But at the same time, besides politics, there is also security challenge. We have seen yesterday there was an attempt on attack on a non-local bank manager in Patan area of Baramulla district. There was an attack on the security force in Pulwama. There have been series of incidents. There were two, sticky bomb blasts into a passenger bus in Jammu. This Udhampur district. Fortunately, there was no loss of life. But there are concerns, so Home Minister decides addressing this rally will be, reviewing security situation in Jammu and Kashmir also.
All right, Nazir, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. And moving on to news now from Telangana, where Chief Minister and Telangana Rashtra Samiti President K. Chandrasekhar Rao is set to announce his national party tomorrow on Dussehra. On Sunday, the Chief Minister held a meeting with his cabinet colleagues and all 33 district presidents, and is said to have discussed the roadmap for the launch of the national party. Well, let's go across to Uma for more on this story. And Uma, we know the time as well of this national party being launched, and also all representatives and various functionaries of the TRS are going to be there for the launch.
Yes, indeed. The Muhurat time has been fixed for 1:19 p.m. tomorrow. Dussehra, of course, is a big festival in Telangana, celebrated as Batukama as well, where women go and dance, and there is a lot of floral arrangement and so on. And KCR has chosen this date to launch that the TRS will transform now into a national party, and we are expecting that there will be an extended meeting of the party leaders that would include the executive committee as well as the MLCs, the MLAs, the MPs, the mayors. All the big leaders of the TRS will get together at around 11 o'clock at Telangana Bhavan, which is the party headquarters, after which the TRS perhaps will cease to exist, and that will transform into the BRS, we are being told, which may expand into the Bharatiya Rashtriya Samiti. This is something that KCR had in fact announced at the party's convention in April this year, and ever since then he has been reaching out to different segments of the population to talk about what his plans are going to be at the national level. Interestingly, this is an year when the TRS in fact attains 21 years of age and in a sense adulthood, and in a sense therefore perhaps going outside its home territory, the Telangana Rashtra Samiti now going to become the BRS. Three things that I must point out: that while TRS has declared itself to be a national party, there will of course be the criteria of the election commission that the TRS must meet, the party must meet before it can be called as a national party. And KCR has set himself a target of 2024 when he says that it will be a BJP versus a BRS that will happen in 2024. But even before that, his party intends to contest in elections, because there is a criteria that if you are able to get 6% votes in 4 states or more, then also you can be declared as national status. So he will be looking at those criteria. What happens tomorrow is that after the resolution is passed by the executive committee, the extended executive committee meeting, the resolution will be forwarded to the election commission, and it is expected to take a few weeks before the TRS gets a name change into the new party that it hopes to be. KCR has big plans. He intends to go out, tour the country. We are being told that he is getting a 12-seater aircraft, in fact, for that very purpose. And he will be going to the different states. He is also telling his leaders that they must go to the different states and talk about what he thinks is the Telangana model. One important point there, that he this time around is not talking about stitching together any kind of a non-BJP, non-Congress kind of a front or bringing together regional parties. What he is talking about is presenting an agenda before the people, which is politically, socially, or development-wise and welfare-wise. He is going to be reaching out to the farmers' unions, trade unions, civil society organizations, and he believes that all of them may agree to merge with the BRS, which is planning to, in fact, have a big meeting in Delhi on the 9th of December. That also happens to be an important date, in fact, in Telangana's own history. Back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Uma, for joining us with those details of KCR to announce the National Party tomorrow. Welcome back. The big international story. Ukrainian forces achieved their biggest breakthrough in the south of the country since the war began, bursting through the front and advancing rapidly along the Dnipro River on Monday, threatening supply lines for thousands of Russian troops. Kiev gave no official confirmation of the gains, but Russian sources acknowledged that a Ukrainian tank offensive had advanced dozens of kilometers along the river's west bank, recapturing a number of villages along the way. The breakthrough mirrors recent Ukrainian successes in the east that have turned the tide in the war against Russia, even as Moscow has tried to raise the stakes by annexing territory, ordering mobilization and threatening nuclear retaliation.
Велика група наших посадовців продовжують роботу з надання необхідної допомоги усім, хто був звільнений з російського полону. Питань, як ви розумієте, дуже багато. Це не тільки лікування та реабілітація, а й великий обсяг соціальних питань, часто юридичних. Держава обов'язково допоможе усім їх вирішити. Сьогодні продовжився наступальний рух нашої армії, усіх наших захисників, є нові звільнені населені пункти в кількох областях. Тривають жорсткі бойові дії на багатьох ділянках фронту. Але перспектива цих
превосходящими танковыми подразделениями на направлении Золотая Балка, Александровка противник сумел вклиниться в глубину нашей обороны. Подразделения российских войск заняли заранее подготовленный оборонительный рубеж и продолжают наносить противнику массированное огневое поражение. Потери украинских боевиков в этом районе составили около 130 человек личного состава и 23 единицы военной техники.
Welcome back. Now the controversy surrounding Garba Pandals this year in Madhya Pradesh. Since the start of the Navratri festivities, instances of Muslim men being held or beaten up are coming up from Indore. Bajrang Dal members are carrying out search drives at Garba Pandals, checking people's ID cards. They're seen thrashing Muslim men in Ujjain as well, and then they handed them over to the police. They say the youth were seen making videos of women at the Pandals, and that's why they wouldn't allow them inside. The Muslim youth have been arrested after the Bajrang Dal's actions, raising serious questions on the rule of law and also arrest without any sort of significant offence. NDTV's Priyanshi sent us this report.
The festivities are said to unite people, but in Madhya Pradesh, there are some questions being raised over the actions being taken by the Bajrang Dal. ever since the start of the festivities, since the start of the Navratri in celebrations across the country, Muslim men are being thrashed. They are also being picked up by the police outside of Garba Pandals. The Bajrang Dal says that these men are being picked up because they are entering to supposedly perform love jihad. They are entering to make videos of Hindu women performing Garba. They're also doing inappropriate things at the Garba Pandals. And that is why they say that they have taken that they are doing this, and they're also checking identity cards of these men before anybody is allowed to enter. But there are serious questions to be raised over how can law be taken in the hands of anybody, any organization, without the police being directly involved. The police is involved, but that happens after these men have been thrashed, after the Bajrang Dal members have performed so-called search operations as they check the identities of people before they enter these Garba Pandals. After that, they hand them over to the police, and these people are held, they are arrested under section 151 of the IPC by the police. Now there are questions on the grounds. The section 151 of the IPC says staying in a gathering of more than 5 people, even after the authorities have asked you not to stay in those gatherings in accordance with public peace. This is the section that these men have been charged under, but the questions are that the police is arresting them after the action of the Bajrang Dal. So whether that is substantiated and whether the charges on them are substantiated. In fact, this is not just on a Bajrang Dal level, but at a government level. The UP Culture Minister has said that these Garba Pandals are becoming a medium of love jihad, and that is why there should be identity checks before anybody is allowed to enter at these Garba Pandals. The UP Home Minister has also made it mandatory that anybody who enters the Garba Pandals has to first give their identity to establish their identity before they enter these festivities at the Garba Pandal. So various questions that are arising here. What are the grounds these people are arrested on? How can law be taken in people's hands? And if there are concerns of women's security at these Garba Pandals, it should be the women complaining, it should be their families complaining, and not some external organization. All of those questions that are still being raised at this in Madhya Pradesh, as multiple people have to show their identity cards before they enter Garba Pandals, and they've also been thrashed at these Garba Pandals. In Indore, in Madhya Pradesh, with camera person Xavier Thomas, Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.
And it's not just Madhya Pradesh, in Gujarat as well. There have been incidents during Navratri celebrations in Undhela village last night. A group led by 2 people, Arif and Zahir, started creating disturbance. Other reports later, they pelted stones in which 6 got injured. Now, this is what the DSP of Kheda said. The police say that all the accused are being identified and that strict action will be taken. Police has been deployed in the village and necessary arrangements have also been made.
में बहुत 6-7 लोगों को छोटी मोटी इंजरी हुई है, उसकी अभी प्राइमरी ट्रीटमेंट चालू है। और जितने भी लोग थे आरोपी में, तो कौन कौन थे वो सब अभी ग्रामजनों जो है उनकी पूछताछ करके उनको आइडेंटिफाई किया जाएगा, और जितने भी लोग हैं उनके खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
Now, in a big boost to its combat prowess, the Indian Air Force inducted the first batch of indigenously developed light combat helicopters named Prachand. Primarily designed for deployment in high-altitude regions, it was inducted into the IAF at a ceremony in Jodhpur. The Defence Minister called it a major milestone as the Prachand fulfills specific role, particularly in very high-altitude operations where it can carry a significant payload. Here's a special report.
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता। अल्लाह तमाम दुआओं को अपने रहमों पर अपने हबीब के सदक़े में कबूल फरमा। वाहिगुरु जी का।
A multi-faith ceremony to induct India's light combat helicopter, which has now been named Prachand, which means fierce.
Weapons hot. Weapons hot. Fire. Target destroyed. Return to home.
The Prachand now enters service with 143 helicopter unit in Jodhpur and is being simultaneously inducted into the army. Of the 15 initial choppers ordered, 10 are being inducted into the IAF, 5 go to the army. The total cost 3,887 crores. Both services are expected to induct upwards of 50 Prachand helicopters each.
प्रचंड शक्ति, प्रचंड वेग और प्रचंड प्रहार की क्षमता वाले इस एलसीएल का इंडक्शन हमारी एयरफोर्स की कैपेबिलिटीज में बढ़ोतरी के साथ साथ रक्षा उत्पादन क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर भी यह एक बड़ा कदम है.
Later, the minister flew on the Prachand. He's flown on the Indian Air Force's Sukhoi 30s earlier. For the Jodhpur-based squadron, inducting the chopper today is a huge day, a chance to fly a world-class hunter-killer chopper.
And we've spoken about high altitudes, but this is equally adept at flying less than treetop height as well, right? In the desert where there are no trees.
As I told you, this aircraft is highly maneuverable. It responds to the pilot inputs instantaneously, and because of that we can fly it as low as possible in bad weather conditions, in day and night, and all kinds of terrain. It's beautiful in terms of maneuverability.
The Prachand weighs 5.8 tons. It can fly at altitudes in excess of 16,000 feet in Ladakh. It's armed with missiles, rockets and a cannon. Developed after the Kargil war, when the existing choppers at the time were unable to carry out their high altitude missions, the Prachand has a key role to play in Ladakh against Chinese threats.
The engine, of course, it's co-developed. It's called the Shakti. Variants of this engine actually do service on the advanced light helicopter as well. Tell us about the engine. How does it work well with this airframe?
As far as the design of the engine is concerned, it is a very powerful engine wherein it has been designed to match the characteristics of the transmission system, and it gives us the option to fly the machine at the highest peaks of the Himalayas. So that is what it has been made in the country itself to operate in the Himalaya regions and operate at the highest peaks. So as far as the buzz in the squadron is concerned, it is like we are working day and night, and still we are fresh and we are excited, and we have that enthusiasm always there. So we are working towards operationalizing the platform at the earliest. For that we have got pilots from different streams, so we have a varied experience in our kitty that we are utilizing well. So that is the kind of buzz is going on.
And it is definitely a proud privilege for all of us to be a part of this elite group of the LCH Trailblazers, and we are all honored to have been chosen to shoulder this responsibility, and definitely it will be our sincere endeavor to perform to the best of our ability to operationalize this state-of-the-art machine, the fleet, to its full capacity and capability at the earliest.
So we have the Tejas for the fighter aircraft, Prachand for the light combat helicopter that you can see behind me now. A handful of these are being inducted into the Indian Air Force. In the first allotment, the government had sanctioned 15 helicopters, 10 for the Air Force, 5 for the Indian Army. These are progressively entering both services. Ultimately, we expect the Army to operate as many as 95, perhaps approximately 65 for the Indian Air Force.
Vaishno Devi for NDTV.
With that, time for us to slip into a short break. Coming up on the other side, a special NDTV report on the national capital's toxic landfills. Stay with us.
Delhi's garbage mountains. The biggest ones are taller than the India Gate and taller than even the 55-meter tall Rashtrapati Bhavan.
These heaps of garbage have marked the skyline of the capital city for more than 3 decades. And with each passing day, only more fresh waste is being added to these mountains. 53% of the waste that Delhi generates every single day ends up in one of these 3 landfills. The biggest one of them is here in Ghazipur. It's almost as tall as the Qutub Minar and the Taj Mahal. It spreads across 70 acres and is home to a host of diseases and toxic gases.
We are actually all breathing our trash. Be sure of that.
These mountains of garbage exceeded their capacity in the early 2000s. Even the top court of the country has repeatedly called for immediate action to bring them down. The Delhi Lieutenant Governor called them a national shame. Why are these mountains still standing strong? It's the textbook political blame game. The Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi blames the BJP-ruled municipal corporation and in fact says that they are planning to come up with 16 more dump sites, an allegation that the BJP denies.
Now the existing landfill sites, Bhalaswa, Okhla and Ghazipur, have gone way beyond their limit. Now people from all over Delhi are going to get exposed to this. Why? Because Bharatiya Janata Party's misgovernance and corruption of the last 15 years has caused this garbage crisis in the city.
दिल्ली को हर बात पर झूठ बोल के बरगलाना ये ठीक नहीं है. एमसीडी का ऐसा कोई प्रावधान नहीं है. आज ये तीनों पहाड़ अगर हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं राज्य सरकार, दिल्ली सरकार, केजरीवाल सरकार की देन है, क्योंकि उन्होंने निगम का फंड अगर समय से जारी किया होता तो आज ये पहाड़ नहीं होते.
The BJP may deny this, but a 2016 Delhi Pollution Control Committee document quotes the municipalities saying that they have requested more land for landfill sites, saying that they have no other option. What's shocking is money that's going down the drain. Hundreds of crores allocated to clear, much more in damages. And despite all of this, Delhi's garbage mountains have not shrunk. Directed by the National Green Tribunal, India's topmost green court, the municipal corporations have deposited a total of 245 crores to clear the legacy waste at the 3 landfills. Separately, a government-commissioned report this year said that the amount of damage to the environment due to these 3 landfills is as high as about 450 crore rupees. In spite of all of these costs and losses, the heights of the Bhalaswa and Ghazipur landfills have not come down. Only one landfill, that's Okhla, became shorter from 55 meters to 40 meters during the period 2016 to 20. But even that increased in area during the same period. It grew by 44% from 32 to 46 acres. In fact, all the 3 landfills should have been reduced by 25% by March this year, according to a 2021 Delhi Pollution Control Committee report. But they have missed that deadline. The legacy waste at all of the 3 landfills is meant to be 100% gone by the end of 2024. But that is unlikely to be met based on the current situation. It's not as though no work is being done. But the trouble is that every day more and more waste is being added and there aren't enough resources to process it fast enough. Environmental experts like Bharti Chaturvedi, founder of Chintan, which was on the Supreme Court's panel on solid waste management, blames citizens as well for not segregating waste.
I think there is a huge blame with the citizens. It's not that the citizens don't know that they should compost and segregate. We lose lives in our years, make segregation completely non-negotiable, which means that don't segregate, we won't pick. In Delhi, the citizens rule the municipality in a perverse way.
With the rising population, the garbage that 2 crore people of Delhi generate is only increasing. The city generates over 11,000 tons of waste every day, taking the garbage being dumped in landfills up by 15% in a year. While the political blame game continues, people's lives are put on risk. The municipalities accept that these landfills continue at the risk of human life.
On one hand, there are cleanliness campaigns such as the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan running across the country. On the other hand, such mountains of garbage right in the national capital of the country expose the reality of these cleanliness campaigns. Whenever we pass a garbage dump, a garbage bin or a truck, we often cover our nose. But this is where all those trucks and bins end up. This is the Bhalaswa landfill site that is close to 60 meters tall. We're at a house right next to this landfill and the locals here don't have an option to cover their nose.
For the locals, the landfills have forced them to stay inside their houses.
हम घर से बाहर नहीं निकल पाते हैं, इतनी बदबू आती है। फिर यहाँ की सरकार तो ऐसा ही है, हम तो हमेशा ही बीमार रहते हैं। हमको तो ये लगता है इसी से हम बीमार रहते हैं।
यहाँ आए थे हम लोग तो पूरा जंगल था, यही मेन रोड था हमारा वाला, झुग्गी वाला ही। तो धुआं होता है पूरे इलाके में धुआं हो जाता है जब आग लग जाती है तो उससे धांसा भी होता है, धुआं भी दम घुटता है बच्चों का।
और हमारा आने जाने का रास्ता कहीं से भी नहीं है। ऐसे कोई मर भी जाए तो कोई एम्बुलेंस आना हो, किसी की शादी हो, कोई गाड़ियाँ, तो यहाँ कोई रास्ता नहीं है।
हमारे मस्जिदों के अंदर भी इसकी स्मेल आती है, बहुत बुरा लगता है इसके अंदर।
There were 76 fire calls from Delhi's 3 landfills in the last 3 years. In 2017, 2 people died as a part of the Ghazipur landfill came crashing down, sweeping several people into a canal. Doctors and experts say that the locals suffer from deadly health risks, and the risks don't really stop at areas around the landfills. These are a source of both air pollution and methane, which causes global warming.
पेशेंट की ये मान लीजिए इम्यूनिटी काफ़ी डाउन हो रही है, जिससे पेशेंट को अस्थमेटिक प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, एलर्जी की प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, सांस लेने में प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, कोल्ड एंड कफ रेगुलर रहता है पेशेंट को।
The liquid toxins from the dump sites contaminate the water around and add to the sewage. Locals say that during monsoons, the overflowing sewage even enters their homes. The government's groundwater analysis shows that a range of elements in the water around landfills exceed the desirable limit for drinking water, making locals around prone to diseases such as diarrhea and forcing lower-income households to buy water to save themselves from diseases. On one hand, Delhi is redeveloping its legacy buildings such as the Central Vista Avenue. On the other, the legacy waste we need to let go of is still standing strong. Perhaps the only thing bigger here than these mountains is the colossal failure of both governments and Delhi's citizens to get rid of these and manage their waste.
The national capital sits on 28 million tons of legacy waste in its 3 landfills. One of them is this landfill site in Okhla. Even though there are measures to bring down the legacy waste, as you can see, the trucks adding fresh waste to these sites every single day are increasing these sites' sizes. Now, even though crores of taxpayers' money has been spent on this issue, people still have to breathe and live their lives around these disease hotspots.
In New Delhi with camera person Rakesh Singh and Sudesh Kumar Ram, Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.